8, civil penalties, costs, and fees pursuant to an action by the Attorney General of a person shall forfeit and pay civil penalties not more than $5,000 for each violation. If such person, as the director or officer of the corporation, votes or assents to a distribution of property held for charitable purposes that would not give rise to liability under 2403K 610. So we've asked many times to have documentation, to see documentation, which has been denied. And for viewing, for seeing, for verifying, okay?
What are you going to verify here?
Or no, what do you, which documentation?
This is the law.
Which
okay?
documentation are you talking about? Which documentation are you talking about?
Receive the donation form.
Making
Donors
donations
are
that are made.
notified by the board.
One at a time.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So it says that if I vote for it, it's distributed. I'm liable if we haven't complied with any of this stuff.
Okay, any more discussion?
So that's number C, it says making sure donations are notified of a board's acceptance or rejection. We never saw any of those donations, so we didn't accept them or reject them on an individual basis, and that's the way I understand number C. Number E, you pointed out there were several forms, and it looked like I didn't see where the board approved the form specifically. That's one thing I brought up in the past. Number F, make sure receipt is given to all donations. I've asked to look at the receipts, and I asked again, I'd like to go and look at all the deposit slips and receipts. I asked as early as last week and haven't had a response on that. Number 8, H, to audit the entire donation process, and I've tried to audit the donation process on a regular basis and been denied. So some of my statements.
Any further discussion?
So what do you want to do with that?
I think that's what I think the board as a whole should be able to audit the process, see the forms.
Can you speak louder, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we don't have the mic, do we? It'd be nice to be able to audit the process and be able to see the signed forms from the donors, to be able to audit the process and the receipts, to go through and we can't back up the train, but we should have had a board approved form for the process. So.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Okay, I'm going to vote yes. Bill Little,
Yes.
Susie,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
John Nielsen.
No.
Brenda Alberto. No. John Walchrist.
No.
Don Williams.
Yes.
Constance. Yes. It passes. All right. Thank you.
So, as I was saying before, the persons involved, that were provided these donations will be contacted by the office manager and confirm whether or not they want to be recognized.
That's
And I think
different.
those that approve of that, I think those receipts should be made available. But the ones that remain anonymous, if you look at our existing just general donation form, if you were to offer up some money and filled out a donation form, you have an option on those to remain anonymous,
Right.
so that it's not disclosed.
And I didn't see that on any of those forms. So
There wasn't one.
right.
So we assumed that they would be anonymous and given the opportunity at the end of the process.
So I would assume just the opposite.
Well,
And auditing the process as a trustee, we should be able to be trusted to audit the process and see the whole process as a board. And we would keep the people's names anonymous. That means anonymous to the public. It doesn't mean anonymous to the auditors of the board.
And you just approved to audit it on the.
Yeah, is there any problem? going ahead and auditing the donations.
We haven't been allowed.
Yeah.
We haven't been up till now, but now things are done.
No. We have to get permission from the donors,
Okay.
and we have had this discussion over and over again. And, John, you know, if you and your committee want to work on a policy for donation forms and improving that, go for it, because it sounds like you have some ideas, Brenda probably has some ideas too. So, if you want to get something going on that.
So the simple answer would be if we had a form and had an anonymous on the form, we didn't use that form.
Yeah. We used a form associated with the flyer.
Yeah, the flyer, you could put the flyer into the approved form with the flyer.
In the future, that will happen. Go ahead, Brenda.
And again, I do not understand where in the bylaws, anything that says that we, as the board, as trustees, cannot view any of those documents. There's nothing. And again, the forms did not have it specifically on there. And I don't understand what the big deal is, you know, for the board to see that. But I mean, I don't understand the objection. It's not like I'm going to go tally everyone who donated whether where, but to know where the money came from, it's important. And what John was just saying, if we're accepting this money, we need to make sure that, you know, it's legit and that we're handling it properly.
What kind of illegality are you looking?
I have no idea.
You
I'm not-
have received funds for a certain purpose.
Right.
Why, John, are you insinuating people are doing an illegal thing?
I didn't insinuate.
Yes, you are,
it.
consistently.
I said,
John, you get everything you want from the Marine.
Okay,
Everything.
Leon and Leon has the
Give
floor.
ones, give
Leon,
ones.
John wants to answer your question.
I was making a statement that I couldn't vote for this because these new laws that are out, the liabilities to the trustees is very explicit. And so I was reading it off that I couldn't vote for it because of the liabilities explained here. That's all.
Linda, you had your hand up? I can come back to you.
Yeah, come back. I wanted to say one thing, and, you know, you're talking about the RCWs now. We could go back a couple meetings, a couple more meetings, and find that we've been doing the wrong thing according to the new RCWs. How far do we go back to determine?
3 years.
So we got to go back 2 years for everything that we voted for to find out whether it was a legal vote when we didn't know about. We didn't know about that when we were, you know, getting donations from people. We didn't know about that for all kinds of things that we voted for. There was a bunch of changes in there. We haven't even scratched the surface of what we might need to change our documents to be in